the big shift then that needs to occur, doesn't always occur, but needs to occur between stages 2 and 3, is we need a shift to an enterprise-centric business. This is where we start delegating. This is where the business starts to develop an entity of its own, separate from the business owner.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Leads to Growth. I'm your host, Chris McCoy with the National Association of Sales Professionals. And wouldn't you know it, we've got a special guest, Madelyn Dunlap, with by far one of the best screen backdrops I've seen for a while, the Zoom backdrops here. Madelyn, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Chris.
Absolutely. So Madelyn is a director of business development for the Rewild Group. And for those of you who don't know, Rewild Group is a tremendous coaching platform and service offering for a lot of consultants out there. And they have an amazing concept on growth that I really wanted. I kind of actually spotted Madelyn on another podcast. I scoped her out and I was like, ooh, would you mind talking about that over here? And Madelyn, tell me about yourself and how you ended up with Rewild Group, because I know this wasn't where you started in consulting. You had a background in law, didn't you?
Yeah, so I started, kind of grew up in almost as I was going to school in a legal consulting firm. So always that professional services focus, and that got me through school. I was always fascinated with data, information, how we can use all this data that we have to make better decisions in business and in life. And it was actually at that organization. I'd finished up school, invested all the time, money, had the all important degrees. And I had this day where I realized that despite all this training, I actually didn't know how to help the company grow. Like it was, I was a manager. I had responsibilities to oversee a department and people. And I thought that I had invested in what I needed to be able to effectively help the organization be more successful. And I had no idea where to start. I was blessed to have been working for a CEO who was on a bit of his own journey of how to grow the organization, came across this methodology. And over about 3 years, I got to be part of the team that took these concepts and applied them in that organization. We saw tremendous results. We were growing. We were not sacrificing profitability. We had a culture, and that's one of those things that's a little challenging to measure, but it was such an engaging, healthy, growing culture. And all those things are hard to do on their own, but to do them in parallel is extremely challenging. And I wouldn't say we were anything exceptional as individuals. We just had a framework that we were working from that was helping us get more bang for our buck, that the energy we were spending, we were actually seeing results for. We weren't working any harder than we were before we had the methodology. About 3 years into that, then the company was acquired by a competitor. We'd gotten noticed. We were making waves in that industry. And after that, the CEO, having seen really what that methodology did for his business, said, I've got to go out and I have to take this to more businesses. He teamed up with the founder. The Rewild Group was born. And having believed in the methodology so strongly, I wound up in a business development position. No background in business development, except for I can sit here and tell you that this has made a difference in my life. I watched it make a difference in the lives of the people I was mentoring and managing. And so it's really easy to share that information, having had that experience with it.
I love it. And this methodology is called?
So organizational rewilding.
Organizational rewilding. I love it. And today, the topic of this concept or this structure that really intrigued me were these 7 stages of growth. And I think what you say is really beautiful too, because as you grow a company or in an industry, a lot of us are disrupting, you're changing, you're doing something new in a different area. So there's no certainty. There can't be certainty. Otherwise you're going to end up in a bad place. So to have a structure and a template to follow, this is where you can find some of that certainty to continue to move forward. And I think that's so important in this startup world.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's this balance, right? Because you're absolutely right. If you are static, and you have, if we think of like concrete as a foundation, it just doesn't sustain in this environment, in this economy. You have to be moving. But there's also that flip side where if things are so fluid, it's chaos that is very challenging to mitigate and move forward in in a cohesive direction. And so having some level of structure, it doesn't offer rigidity, but really a resilience and a structure within that, you really can thrive in and get a lot of people on board and moving in the same direction. And that's definitely what we found as an organization, and what I see organizations finding in the 7 stages of growth that we utilize.
I love that. And before we get into the 7 stages of growth, I'm just excited. I want all the sales leaders to take notice out there of what Madelyn said. She said, I had no business development experience. No experience. What is everybody asking for out there? All they want to say is, how much experience do you have? Most people come to us for our certifications because the certification can be a bridge of that gap of experience. We can certify that sales experience through the training and through the behavior transformation, but not always is sales experience what you're looking for, because she did have experience. She had experience in the most important part, a product of the product. And what better person to develop business than a person who's a product of the product and to pull from that other side of the team. And so I love that transition. I really love the move in sales careers from one side of the table to the other.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very interesting move that you made, and which makes you a very valuable and effective business developer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's an area, I think, at least for me personally, having no experience, I'm always looking for ways to grow, but I feel like I come from a position of confidence because I believe in what I'm selling. I probably don't know all the techniques. I could probably benefit from your certification.
I'm sure of it. We'll have to talk about that. But yeah, but what she does know is what comes from the inside.
Yeah.
She has a purpose to share her own personal experience and value and appreciation of the product to others and allow them to appreciate it too. And that's when you're selling a valuable service like this, not just a product. I think that's just a very, very valuable place to come from.
Yeah.
So I love that transition. And how did you how was your onboarding process into this new business development role? Was there a lot of training? Have you, what was that like?
No, I mean, a lot of it was, we had taken this tried and true methodology that had been refined over 3 decades, and it had been used in a small consultancy. There were books written, there were case studies, but the business changed, or the strategy was entirely different with the Rewild Group. We had set out to train other people, which is very different. Being able to know how to do something, for something to make sense to you, the creator, the founder, knowing every intimate detail and making it make sense to somebody else is totally different.
Yes.
In the same way, we were transitioning the business development as well, because we were selling to different people and we were selling something different. And so it's been a labor of love, really, where we are collaborating, where we are a lot of trial and error. We've gone through and invested in sales training and coaches and collaborating with other professionals out there. But it's this, I don't know, this is not a science in my mind. It's not 2 + 2 = 4. So there's just a lot of trying things out, refining, and I can't tell you I see an end in sight to that. I've not found that silver bullet.
No, there is no there. We say it all the time, and you're right. It's not science, it's humans, right?
Yes.
And there's no logical equation. I think consulting and recruiting and staffing are probably 2 of the most interesting. Recruiting, because recruiting, you're selling the business to help you represent them, and then you're selling the customer or the prospect to work with this business. So you're selling both sides. A consultant is very similar, because you're selling to people on how you can support them to do the thing that they are already trying to do and are maybe the best at in their industry,
Yes.
a lot of times. So I
Yes.
think what consultants do is often is help people get out of their own way.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
There's this facilitation. There is, we talk about this we have a series of books that are written really for that do-it-yourself or business owner, which I talk about like the Venn diagram of
Mhm.
do-it-yourselfers and business owners. They've got to be like this, right? They're just like fully overlapped.
Overlapped, yeah.
But we talk about this reality that a business owner, even with all the knowledge, it's very challenging for a business owner to implement these concepts in their business by themselves. There is
100%.
just this barrier that exists. It is your business. It's hard to see it from an outside perspective. It's oftentimes even from the perspective just having enough time to be able to, you're running the organization, but then also trying to lead this transformation and these strategic initiatives on your own, especially if you don't feel comfortable, if that's not your wheelhouse. I mean, there's just all these things that can stand in the way of what is a really worthwhile endeavor if an entrepreneur tries to do it themselves.
I agree. I mean, in any relationship, in any action, I mean, look at every marital relationship or companion relationship. Having a third party is a very valuable thing, to have a neutral perspective, right? Because you're seeing one side, they're seeing the other. Well, someone can help see both of those sides, right? And that is a really valuable thing. And in a business, when you're working in and on your business, right, these are two different things, and some are built for just one.
Yes.
And to have that awareness, I think is something that you, as a business developer, it's a tender line to walk, because you not only have to give the significance to these people of all the great they've done, but also remind them of that awareness of their shortcomings, of the areas that they may not be strong at. And it's a delicate line to walk. And that's
Yes,
why I think that
very.
gives you a very good place is when you bring a proven structure in place. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about these 7 stages of growth.
Yeah. So it is a small and mid-sized business method. So it goes from 1 employee really up to around 500 employees. And stage 1 is the name of the stage is startup. And it's not just for startups. There's many businesses that stay in stage 1 for their entire existence, 1 to 10 employees there. Stage 2 is going to be 11 to 19, and 3 goes up to 20 to 34. A big shift happens between stage 2 and stage 3 that I always like to mention. Stages 1 and 2 are owner-centric businesses, and it's what it implies that the business kind of revolves around the owner. The big shift then that needs to occur, doesn't always occur, but needs to occur between stages 2 and 3, is we need a shift to an enterprise-centric business. This is where we start delegating. This is where the business starts to develop an entity of its own, separate from the business owner. And it's this stage and this transition where you see businesses that can be then transferable, where business leaders, business owners can get their lives back. But it's the hardest transition in all of the stages because, and there's probably a number of reasons, but if I boil it down and oversimplify it, it's because the relationship between the business and the business owner changes more drastically in that transition than any of the other stages. And you are so right that it is this delicate situation. I often liken talking to a business owner about their business like talking to a parent about their child, because it is very much synonymous. There is that pride, that protection, that investment, and a reflection of oneself that exists in their business. So that transition's huge. We go up through stage 4 is going to be a stage where we're really focused on professionalizing a management team. Having a strong management team, if we boil it down to nothing else, is going to be the most critical thing you do in stage 4. And stage 4 is 35 to 57 employees. Integration stage 5 is next, and that's going to go from 58 to 95 employees. The big thing there is when you professionalize managers, you start putting managers over your departments. A lot of times what can happen in stage 4 is that you almost create silos within your organization that didn't exist before. You have more formal departments, you have more formal department heads. So stage 5 is all about then taking that strong management team and getting it integrated into a leadership team where that'll carry you through the rest of the stages. Stage 6 is the strategic stage. It's 96 to 160 employees. And, people say, well, you've got to be strategic in all the stages. Well, absolutely. And when you say we're picking one word for an entire stage, it's definitely an oversimplification. But what it nods to is that a stage 6 business takes a level of strategic insight and planning that was never before demanded of smaller businesses. You are in a different league at that point, is a way that I think of it. And so if you've grown up, if you've managed to grow up through the stages and you miss that, oftentimes what we're going to see is businesses retreat. And that's true across all the stages, right? Let me finish up with stage 7, and then I'll just talk about that for a minute. Visionary is stage 7. And again, you need vision throughout the entire growing up your business. But the point is that in stage 7, the biggest challenge we see businesses run into, from 161 employees, really around, 350 employees, is that they get stagnant, that they lose that innovation that existed in their organization in earlier stages. And so creating that vision is so critical to keep the business going. Now, a few things that come from these stages. One, strategies that work in stage 1 are not going to be the same strategies that carry you through in the other stages, right? Huge. Business leader, your natural leadership styles are going to serve you well in certain stages and are going to probably be to your detriment in other stages. That is why we often see businesses grow up to a certain point and hit a plateau. The leader feels like they can't get it past that. Sometimes it has to do with that natural leadership style. It's also why you see organizations that have, or CEOs that have led larger organizations come by smaller organizations, think, oh, this is a piece of cake. It's just different. It's just different. The strategies that served you in those stages are not necessarily the strategies that are going to help you in subsequent or prior stages. And so what we'll often see is these stages exist, these rules exist, these structures exist, whether or not you see them. And so businesses will grow, they'll miss something, they'll retreat, they'll grow, they'll miss something, they'll retreat. And it's this oscillation and feeling like, oh, he get past this. And that's exactly what happened in the organization that I was in, is we would grow and then we'd fall back. And what we realized, and honestly, had we not grown up and pulled back and grown up and pulled back, we might not have seen this. But we started to see this reality that's truth in the methodology. And instead of trying that same strategy that was serving us in one stage, but keeping us pulling back from the next, we took those shifts into account. We made adjustments, and that made all the difference for us.
It's fascinating. What really is fascinating to me is how similar it resembles personal growth. We look at strategies that got you where you are, won't get you to the next level. The habits that got you to where you are today aren't the habits that are going to get you to the next level.
Yeah.
The behavior, the thinking, right? And yes. I think what you said is very interesting, that these great leaders can get to a certain level. It's almost like they can pull them up to where they are. And then when they get there, they're like, well, this worked all the way up until here. Why wouldn't this continue to work forward? And that's kind of where that stickiness or stuckness comes in from, is that, wait, I was the one that everybody looked to get them to here. Why isn't that working now? And now it's, I got to let go of this and look to somebody else or look to another strategy. And I think beliefs change, right? You don't see those higher level strategies until you're at that higher level.
Yes.
That they don't
Yes.
become optional or visible or even, something that you consider until you get to those levels, because the market's changed, the world's changed, you've changed, your company's changed, everything, the industries. So I think it is to go in knowing that you're going to have to evolve is something you probably prepare people for very early on in this process if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the awareness, just the awareness alone makes you so much more prepared than just going in one day. If things have been going well, our numbers, we're hitting our numbers, everything's working, we're growing, and then it just stops. It stops working, and you have no idea why. Even the awareness that there are stages of growth, that things will change, means that at that moment where things start feeling like they're crashing down, it's, oh, well, maybe it's because of this, right? And it's just huge. It's the clarity. It's almost a lens with which to look at your business, right? To
Yes.
see all of this chaos and all this information and be able to say, okay, I can see here what's going on. I can look up in the stars, right? In all that, and I can see this is there. This is the shape that we've been trained to and are aware to look for these patterns in our business, so that we don't spend all this time trying to figure out what's going on or trying to solve these surface symptoms, putting out all these fires. We know what's going on. Maybe don't know exactly how to fix it, but we know what's going on. And that cuts down the growth time in half at least.
100%, because you stop beating your head up against the wall.
Yes.
You said awareness is one of my favorite quotes. I might have said it on every podcast I've done so far. It's quite possible. But Anthony DeMello says, what you're aware of, you can change. What you're unaware
Yeah.
of changes you. And it's just so powerful to me, because it's not what you're aware of you should feel guilty about and judge and like get angry about. No, what you're aware of, you can change. And just by that awareness, you said, oh, I can. And what does it do? It changes your perspective of it.
Yes.
In growth, we call it the cycle of performance. So you get really excited about something, right? It's called inception. It's just 4 stages, right? I'm super excited, I'm going to do this. You're unaware of, you don't know what's coming. You don't know what you're unaware of. You're unaware of what you're incapable of.
Yeah.
What happens then? You get to deception, and deception is, oh wait, I can't do this. Like getting up for the gym every morning at 6 a.m. Like no, I got too much to do. I was up late last night. I had to work. I just can't do this, right? You're now completely aware of all your incapability, and it's right in your face. But when you remind yourself, the only reason you're there is because you're challenging yourself. You're growing. And you're moving through a cycle the same way in your talk of a person who reaches this wall, this plateau. Oh, it's because you pushed to the next place, the next, and now it's time to pivot again, which is a celebration, not a, oh no. In the same way, deception, when you celebrate it, you change the way that you feel. Because before it was, oh no, this isn't me. Can't believe this is happening again thing. Now it's, oh wait, this is happening again. Something's gonna, like, oh, I got it. Oh, I'm close now. All I gotta do is keep doing it. And then you get the transformation. And that's like the first time you drive and you're like, all right, I can do it, but don't turn the radio on. Don't bug me when I'm trying to pass somebody on the expressway. All right, I'm gonna change lanes. No, I'm not. I'm just gonna drive. It's like, you gotta be very close and careful. But if you keep doing it, then you get to identity. And identity is when those habits, those new habits and patterns now become your identity. They become you. And so now you've evolved and changed now. So it's just a very similar, there's a lot of back and forth and similarities between, we talk about organizational culture as it's a micro or a macrocosm of an identity.
Yeah, absolutely. I
But
mean, so many parallels.
Absolutely. So tell me about business development in this world. Now are you using account-based marketing strategies? Are you targeting companies that you can say, you know what, this is a company that we could really win at right now. They're in the perfect place. And how do you outreach to them?
Yeah. Well, I want to take one step back
Please.
and just talk about what we tell businesses about business development in the stages. Because I have these couple of words that I think are valuable for anyone in the stages. And then I'll tell you exactly what we're doing.
See, this is why I bring aces on the show, y'all, because they know when I miss something.
I didn't even tell you about this, Chris. So this is just like a surprise we'll throw in. So in stages 1 and 2, I think of business development as how a business survives. It is absolutely critical. I mean, everything rises and falls on this, your ability to do business development, to bring work in, to make money off the work you're doing. So that word survives is what I use for stages 1 and 2. Stages 3, 4, and 5. Remember, we should be enterprise centric. We should have started delegating. We should have somewhat of a stable business at this point, a good foundation. It's how your business scales. Business development is how your business scales, how it takes what it's done well and continues to grow and multiply and do that over and over again, over across new industries, new clients, maybe new services, but that's how you're going to scale your business. And then in stages 6 and 7, it's really how business development is how your business sustains. You've grown this organization. It has scaled at this point. Your business development's job is to make sure it's keeping fed the organization that you have grown. I just think that those small words are helpful. Now, we break that down into non-negotiable rules of business development in each of the 7 stages. A ton of our resources are free on our website. Just a plug here, tons of resources, but the non-negotiable rules of business development, you can download it for your stage, check mark where you're at, see what things you're missing. Huge resource.
Absolutely. Business development is such a vague concept, and to be able to put some, I mean, and as you said, it is vague because it means different things in so many different companies and different stages. And so that makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it does. And the methodology is principle based. It's not going to say go out and buy this CRM, fill in the blank. It's going to say at stage 1, you better have a CRM. You better have a way to track your clients.
Yeah.
And you better understand your margins and these structural things that you take and you apply to your business. It's not, here is a get rich quick on a platter system. It's learn this and see how it applies to your business. And that's where the magic really happens. So then to come back to your original question, Chris, business development, how are we doing it? Well,
we definitely got to get that resource. I'll tell you that. And then we're going to hold you to account, see if you're covering your steps.
Yeah. Right. You're going to hold me accountable.
Yeah,
you want to see my downloaded copy that's check marked.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting business, and this might just be a bit of my lack of experience in business development, but we really have work to do in 2 distinct segments. We need to reach businesses because businesses are ultimately who we serve. Our methodology, our information, our programs are for businesses, business owners, the top executive. But who we directly sell to are business consultants and coaches. And so we've got this almost parallel strategy that we are running, which is unique. They are unique from each other. The value propositions are unique. And the demographics of the people we're trying to reach, also unique. So in the business owner segment, what we've found is, this comes back to my Venn diagram of do-it-yourselfers and business owners, is providing usable resources that are low cost, that are easy to access and easy to use, is the way that we have been able to build relationships with businesses. So people looking to grow, looking for resources to grow, those are the type of people we want to be connecting with. And early on, this was not the strategy, but today it is, and it's been one that's been effective. So we do that through tons of downloadable resources. We do that through workshops. Each quarter, we host a workshop that is not like your, it's not your like timeshare presentation where we just,
it's not your mom's workshop. It's not your grandma's workshop.
It's not your grandma's workshop. It's virtual, but we have people print out actual, worksheets. You're getting to work through this hour. The goal is at the end of it, you've actually made progress on something. So tangible resources, our book series and things like that. So trying to speak to the wider audience, trying to connect with business owners who are looking to grow, giving them some value, and then hoping along the way, when they really get to that point where they realize I can't create all the change that I want to see in my business. I believe this works, but I can't do it by myself. That then we have this network of incredible and trained and certified coaches and advisors to help them.
Yeah.
So that I would say, and we've tried, I could be on here for 2 hours telling you all the things we've tried, but skip to the good part. This is really what has worked for us.
And it is it is a traditional marketing style, but with that little caveat of you're not the deliverer, which is also an interesting value because you can't almost deliver as a third party, as you're not selling, you're offering just straight value. As we say on our side, value leads, money follows. And I think some of the greats who show, they show you exactly how they're going to do it, exactly what needs to be done step by step, and then trust that you're just not going to be able to handle it and would rather outsource it to an expert who can know and do it better. And I think that's a very, very valuable way it's an abundance way to lead a business as well too. And I think that's also just a good place to be in a culture for a company.
Yeah, Chris, I have to say, because I wonder if someone else is out here listening to this feeling like, oh my goodness, I would never give all those secrets away. That was me. Yeah. Like, can I just raise my hand and say I was there? That
vulnerability. I love it.
Why would we can't give all this? We can't write this in a book. We can't tell people how we would do this. That's what we're selling. And I don't want to say universally. I don't think that every business situation is different. You have to make your, a strategic decision for your business. But what Chris is right on the money. Most people don't or can't do it themselves. That's why they're looking for help, right? That's why they're finding your resources to begin with. And the biggest hurdle I have seen in selling to business owners is because they're so self-reliant. If they do not understand exactly what you're selling to them, they do not believe it. If they do not understand exactly what you are selling, they do not believe it. And so what we've found is that when a business leader, we say, here's a book, you can buy it for $10. You can buy it for $5, whatever it is, it's nominal value. This is exactly what we're going to do. When they read it and they see the truth in it, then they're going to buy. And they'll buy a consulting package that's, hundreds of times the cost of that initial investment. It's not about spending the money. It's about believing that it works. Not that they necessarily want to do it themselves. So just that full disclosure that the reason all these other things were tried before this that has actually worked was because our hesitancy to say, we're an information idea company. How can we put all our information ideas in a book and then still believe that someone's going to buy these ideas, pay for a consultant to come help them? And it works. Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I really love that because I think it is definitely a shift. It's a shift in paradigms over the last with the shift of internet, the information being available everywhere. This idea of transparency is so valuable and important. And also, let's be honest, these executives that we're dealing with, they're geniuses. A lot of they're beyond geniuses. They're just built a different way. They're not built to look at their company from a third party perspective and see it without emotions and neutrality.
No one is.
Exactly. And so to know that, hey, someone's going to do that because that's what I need them for, right? They are uncertain.
Yes.
They are looking for certainty in you. So any lack of transparency is going to breed more uncertainty for them, that's not what they need from you. And I think that's and I'm thank you for the vulnerability of sharing that. It's counterintuitive when you come from a place of scarcity your whole life, when you're like, I only have one of these. I can't give it away. If I don't have this, I don't have anything. And when you are not a creator of ideas your whole life, the idea of having one of those ideas, right? You hear it in the streets. Oh, if I only had that $1 million idea, the movie Office Space. Oh, the guy from Pet Rock did it. He became a millionaire. He's like, come up with my one idea, and ideas they're out there. They're everywhere, and those who feel abundantly about them and are willing to share them are those who continue to create them and continue to be places that cultivate them. And I think that breeds a lot of certainty in the people in your clients. So Madelyn, you've done a great job of putting that out there. And I think one of the other things I'd love to share about what I appreciate the way you shared is she doesn't share in her own specific certainty. She comes in very, very, very blatantly and bluntly. Oh, no, I'm not, I'm new to business development, don't have a lot of experience here. Oh no, but these principles, these are fact. These are principles are principles. Like
Yeah.
I've never been to space, but y'all want to argue with me about the law of gravity? I don't think so, you know?
Right, exactly.
And so you can take value, and so trust the principles. Don't trust you. Don't put yourself out there as this genius when you're selling a high level service, a professional service. Sell the genius that created it. Sell the principle behind it. You know,
Mm,
and her story of her own journey through this. That's way more than any facts she could ever tell. Percentages of accomplishment or ROIs or all these things. It's the stories that tell. We've had David Hutchinson on here who teaches people how to tell stories, and
yeah.
just great. And so I loved how you put your story in and out, how you shared these lessons.
Yeah, no, one of the things, we did a training a couple of weeks ago with our network of advisors. And one of the things we do is all the workshops that we put together, our network of advisors, they can use for their own business development. And, one of the things that I think is the most important, and again, it might be a little blind leading the blind, but just be yourself. There is so much energy that goes into, you have to use a lot of energy to remember all of the details and to be listening to the prospect and there's so many things going on that you're doing. If you're also trying to be somebody that you're not, it's just this unnecessary energy. So figure out how you show up, be true to how you show up, and share why you think makes it, what makes it valuable in your eyes. Because trying to tell somebody else's story, I just think you start off, very, very disingenuous, and people feel that. People want the truth. We are all looking for loopholes in everything. We are all weary of, well, who's lying to me and what's the truth? So start off just being you, show up as you. And I think that goes a long way. Yes, you might not be the business development guru or the creator of the methodology, but you don't have to be. You should be you and bring the value that you have and genuinely connect with people that you're talking to. That, at least for me, has gone a very long way in what I've been able to accomplish within this organization.
I love it. It really is. Unless if you're not genuine, don't be you. Definitely don't be you. But yeah, no, and you're 100% right. Being genuine, and also in these types of roles as consultancy professional services, where you're hiring a salesperson, someone to work with, they're not going to work with somebody they don't like.
Yes.
So you having to pretend that you're somebody else, eventually you're going to slip, you're going to be yourself, and that's not going to be what they want or who they're looking for. And that's going to create incongruency. And once that happens, the relationship's done. So what you can do, as Madelyn said so beautifully, is protect your energy, protect your clients, protect your honesty and your integrity and the congruency and the alignment of the deal, right? And be yourself from the second on. And then it's going to be easier to attract the people that are easier to work with.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That you are going to work well with, they're going to work well with you. And at the end of the day, do you want to really close a deal where you're both miserable? No. I mean,
exactly.
No. Sometimes it just money costs too much sometimes, right? That was a thing that my dad had growing up. Sometimes money costs too much. And I think going to work at a deal, going to work with a client where you're both miserable, that's a situation where it's not worth it.
Ain't nobody want none of that. No. Well, Ms. Madelyn, this has been exceptional, and I expected nothing less, but you definitely exceeded expectations.
Oh,
so
thanks, Chris.
yeah, so much fun conversing with you, and I really appreciated the synergies too of just human behavior development and the way that we develop an organization. These things are very similar, and then we even closed with be yourself, be the human that you are, and be authentic. And then as a culture, as businesses, and as a society, I think we're moving more towards this humanness and understanding more about what it is. And as employees, we talk about quiet quitters and these different things. People are looking for more of a human existence in life now.
Yeah.
And if employers don't give that to them, people will seek to find it in one way or the other.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, hey, listen, thank you so much for being here. This is a wrap, y'all. Y'all know leads to growth. Make sure you leave your 5 stars. Check us out at NASP.com and make sure you subscribe, like, and comment, and tune in for the next one. Madelyn, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, ciao.